We're joined now by former president of the IFA, Eddie Downey, and we also contacted the current president of the IFA, Joe Healy, to contribute to the show, but due to prior commitments, he was unable to make it. Eddie, over the last year at this stage, there has been various calls for the €200 payment for the suckler sector, and Minister Creed on numerous occasions stated that it wasn't a runner largely because of our obligations on the climate change side. And this week we saw in the budget that it didn't happen. It was that call by farm organisations was largely ignored. Do you think that farm organisations still have the same clout today as they had in previous decades?
Well, I wouldn't agree with you. First of all, Claire, on the fact that it was ignored. I think, you know, there's 40 euros there on the suckler calf, or on the to be paid for the suckler cow. That brings it up to €120. It's a step. You know, you have to build and use building blocks to get further up, move the thing forward. It's not enough. It's not enough to save the suckler sector, which is definitely under pressure. So, you know, I think the farm organisations still have clout. They use their clout as best they possibly can. They're a lobby organisation. Every lobby organisation is designed to fail. Because you lobby, you know, the reality is you don't always get everything you ask for.
And you say that they still have power, but yet at a recent meeting down in Waterford last week, you clearly called for a radical reform of the IFA in particular, and that you think dramatic changes are needed. Why you have that opinion?
Well, first of all, that was an IFA meeting. Secondly, it was a direct question from the floor. I was asked by a young farmer whether I thought IFA needed to be reformed, whether I thought there should be changes in it. And yes, IFA needs radical reform. It does need to be changed. I think we saw we had a review done 3 years ago by called the Con Lucy report. That was done by people looking backwards to where they saw the organisation had been in the past. We needed a review. We now need, and it was staff-based, we now need a review which is looking forward. And it should be member-based. I'm a member of IFA. We own this organisation. It is our organisation and it's to represent us. Therefore, it's the view of the farmer that should be represented there, or it should be organised in the base that helps the farmer in the best possible way, not that protects the staff in the best possible way. So, you know, I think that's an area which we can, there needs to be massive changes there. Massive. I think the manner in which IFA communicates, the manner in which we interact with the members is critically important, and we're not doing, I believe, and I'm saying we are not doing that as well as we should be doing. We need to embrace technology, we need to embrace the smartphone, we need to get the information out to people quicker, and we need to demonstrate to them exactly what and what we're doing for them on a daily basis.
Can you be more specific, Eddie, on the changes that you would like to see brought in? You say embrace technology, but can you be more specific on exactly where you think that there is room for improvement?
Well, I think it just needs a shake up. It needs to be operated on. You know, we lost a lot of young staff from the organisation. We need to bring new young staff into it and bring vibrancy into it on that basis. I think the guys on the ground, the regional development officers, I think they're the absolute key pins of IFA. And I think they're the most important people within the organisation in that they interact on a daily basis with the members. And the local staff and the local officers, absolutely crucial that they are upgraded and given more responsibility and their role is recognised better. I think the idea of having meetings for the sake of meetings has to stop. I think we need to have less meetings but more focused ones that where we and on specific subjects on a regular basis, rather than just on every subject and just going on and on, continuously repeating the same thing over and over.
And Eddie, you've been involved in the IFA for the last 2 decades, nearly 3 decades. Yeah. And as you say, you are an IFA member, former president of the organisation. What do you feel that you did to make those changes, to bring in those changes, to move things forward?
Well, I think, look, I think as president of the association, I think we were in a pivotal position right when things went turned upside down. But I think we were ready to move forward with a review of the organisation. You know, when a president's in the job for 2 years, the third and fourth year is when you can make changes. That's when you're in the position, you're in a comfortable place, a reasonably comfortable place to move on and make those changes. I think now is a good time for IFA to make some of those changes that we had planned to put in place.
And is a lot of it about ensuring the sustainability of the farm orgs, and not just the IFA, but all farm organisations, to sustain them for future generations? Because as we know, the challenges facing agriculture, the challenges facing farmers are coming thick and fast.
Well, I think we're in a huge position of change. I think we're talking about, you know, robots on farms milking cows, robots in fields doing the tilling, doing the work. The technological changes we're going to see over the next number of years is going to be absolutely huge. And I think the farmers, the future, the young farmers coming forward, they won't interact with what we currently have as a model for farm organisations. I think they want a different type of leadership. They want to see that their views are recognised and that their needs are put forward as on issues. I think it's time that we just need to look at it completely different, and we also need to communicate to farmers as to what we're trying to do within those farm organisations.
You mentioned down in Kilmacthomas at that IFA meeting last week about discussion groups, farmer discussion groups online, and different purchaser groups as well, and the opportunities that you see there for young farmers to become more engaged. Is that, and do you see that area as almost kind of a threat to the political farm lobby groups? Is that kind of where you see political opinions being developed at a younger age, maybe?
I think, look at Claire, I'm all my life I've never seen a threat. I've only seen opportunities. And the actual fact that farmers are going to discussion groups, they're being part of discussion groups, buying groups, discussion groups, selling groups, that's the area we need to go, producer organisations. The fact that they're developing is good. Now, that's an opportunity for farm organisations to work with them and to interact with them, so that the first item on the agenda for them every time is, what's the IFA doing, or what's farm organisations doing for me and for us as a group, and how are they representing us? People from those farm organisations going in and discussing for maybe 15-20 minutes with those people, with the discussion groups, purchasing group, whatever group it is, when they start their discussion. Then move on and let them get on with the business. Then you're relevant to them, and we need to be in that relevant zone.
In the last couple of weeks, we've seen that another splinter group has kind of emerged from the IFA. Now, I know it's not largely it's not all IFA members, but they're largely IFA. That's the Beef Plan group. Were you surprised to see that group emerge, and what does that signal to you that there is this breakaway? Because obviously in your tenure as president, the INHFA was set up back in 2015. So what do these breakaway groups say to you?
Well, it's always difficult when you're trying to manage the political system, with the politics that's within farm organisation, and politics exists within IFA and all other organisations. So, you know, different people get disgruntled at different, and they move in a different direction. The job is to try and hold them together. Yes, the INHFA, they got themselves set up. They're a specific group trying to represent a group of farmers in difficult circumstances. I had a lot of discussions with them at the time, and they decided to go in the direction they did. Fair play, off they go and do their job, and I'm happy. I have no problem with that. The beef group at the moment, some of them are meat people. I know a lot of these people very, very well, and I've had a lot of discussion with them. I encouraged them to go down the road of producer groups when I was president of IFA. Met with them on a number of occasions. I'm not surprised that they put forward a plan. I think that's good, and I think we need a plan going forward. But a plan from just the producer point of view is worthless unless it's a fully integrated plan. The beef industry is in trouble. The beef industry is in a very difficult place. The farmer is getting very, very small returns from it. What we need is an integrated plan that works from the producer right through to the processor to the retailer, and it has to work the whole way through that system. When we were at the Beef Forum, I was part and parcel of setting that up, we were very, very close to having, we had Teagasc, we had Board BIA, we had ICBF working to give us an indicative price for the beef industry. based on the markets in which we were supplying. We were working hard to get that put in place. We were very, very close to getting it, and then it just fell apart. We need that put in place.
And what about the farm organisation's role in that? And I know, as you said, with the budget yesterday, we did see the announcement of the beef environmental efficiency pilot scheme, 20 million in that to help alleviate the challenges the beef sector is facing and to also improve the genetic merit of the herd. But from a farm organisation point of view, do you think there is a strong plan in place for beef currently?
I think there's a fear factor there of engaging with the meat industry. I think that has to be got rid of. I think it has to be a trust, has to be built there, and that's difficult. It's a very difficult industry to, you're dealing with individuals, individual companies. They're not cooperatives. So from that point of view, it's difficult to get cooperation between them all and trust between them all. But unless we get to a stage where there's a reasonable return to the farmer, and that everybody is working towards a plan where they've got the right product going out at the other end to the retailer, it's going to be very hard to make it profitable. But just one point you made there was with the genomic scheme and the beef genomic scheme. That's a scheme which I believe will help massively with the efficiency within the suckler herd. It needs to be developed. That doesn't necessarily mean there'll be more output, but I think what it means is the animals within it will be more efficient.
So what was your view on the €200 per cow suckler payment? Do you think, was that a runner in your view?
It's still, look, there's more support needed there. It needs to be targeted support. It needs to be targeted through through the genomic scheme in order to make the industry more efficient. Whatever helps to make the industry more efficient is very important. The pig industry, the poultry industry, the dairy industry, the tillage industry, they've all engaged with genomics. They've all engaged with better plant breeding. They've all engaged in this area, and they're much more efficient than they were 30 years ago. The suckler herd hasn't moved dramatically in those areas. It needs to take a dramatic step forward and has to be science-based.
Is that possible?
Yes.
Eddie, you also mentioned about farm organisations looking to maybe other farm lobby groups around the world for, for some inspiration on how they can move forward. Where are you seeing farm orgs that are really kind of at the top of their game at the moment, and that are changing, that are developing and moving with the current times?
When you go around the world and you look at, and I visit a lot of these farm organisations, when you go around the world, when you talk to them, when you look at how they're structured, a lot of them have add-on businesses which are bring in money for the farm organisation and help to fund it, but they also gives benefits to the members right down through the system. We have that to some extent in IFA, and that IFA is a purchasing group or a buying group for ESB services, telephone services. Some people don't like that. Some people see that as a negative and think IFA are distracting themselves. That's not the case. It's a way in which IFA can become independent and can fund itself independently. That's very important that farmers support that, because it will leave us independent of the levy system with the factories, which a lot of people like to criticise. The reality is the same people criticise the levy as criticise the phones. So you've got to find a way to fund an organisation. That's critically important. The organisations around the world, they used to look to IFA, they used to look to Ireland to see how we were running our operations. Now we need to go back and look at them and see what they've done and how they've run their businesses.
Anywhere in particular, anyone?
You don't take anywhere in particular when you're doing something like that. It's a research process. Go everywhere. Look at the Italians, look at the Germans, look at the Scandinavians, the NFU in Britain. It has a huge insurance company. The Cattlemen's Association in America, it has a huge insurance company. All of those contribute to the funding of the farm of the organisation, and that helps it to be more efficient and helps it to lobby better.
We saw in the VT there earlier, Eddie, that there is mixed confidence when people are asked straight out if they believe in the ability of farm organisations to lobby on their behalf and to achieve the results that they want. Would you encourage young people, yourself, your own son? Would you encourage family members or friends, young people, to get involved in IFA, and why?
Well, absolutely. First of all, yes, I would encourage everybody to get involved in farm organisations. I think you've got to educate yourself. It's a massive opportunity to get educated because there's good speakers coming to meetings. Listen to them, listen to what they're doing, why they're saying what they're saying. It's so easy to be on the in a mart or in wherever at the pub, a pub having given out about something, but like it's much more difficult when you get involved and try to resolve the problems. And I think that's the challenge that's there. Young people absolutely should get involved. They really need this information. They've got the education from Teagasc, they've got the education from the ag colleges, but now they actually need the education for life as to how and why how the political system operates. I got involved in IFA 30 years ago. I got involved because I didn't understand what APS meant, which was aids to private storage. It was a system that was in place at the time. I lost 10 cents a kilo, or a pound, sorry, on cattle at that time because I didn't sell them in time, simply because I didn't understand the system. That was a sore lesson. I got involved in IFA, and I educated myself in the process in between.
Eddie, we've seen you speaking at a lot of events recently, back out there on the front line. Do you have any future ambitions within the IFA yourself, or what are your future ambitions for your place within the sector based on the knowledge that you have honed over the last 3 decades?
Well, I have very serious ambitions within IFA. That's to be a good, solid member of it. And I intend to be a very good, solid member of it, and to make sure the organisation does the best it possibly can. And I will do that without, as a member. As regards other ambitions, no, it's purely accidental. I went to Waterford. That's my wife's home county. I considered my second home. And there are a lot of very good friends of mine there, and I got a phone call from the county chairman, Kevin Kearsey, a good friend, and he just said, listen, would you do that meeting? And I said yes, and it's the only other meeting apart from being at my own county executives. The fact that I'm here talking to you today is purely because I got asked a question by a young farmer about the future of farm organisations, and you wanted to do an interview based on that. So, I'm just do what I do.
Eddie, thank you very much for coming into us. We'll leave it there.